A key tip for interactive listening is to eliminate options by looking at the beginning of each one. So here's an example. It is one listen and respond question from the middle of a conversation. Your professor says to you, "Yes, that's right." They usually deal with topics like trade agreements, environmental regulations, and so on. So here are the options that you are given. 1. Yeah, it's a big decision. There are so many different options out there. Just look at the underlined portion here, the beginning of that option. Yeah, it's a big decision. Does that make sense as a response to what the professor said to you? No. The professor doesn't mention any decision. That doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't matter what the rest of that option says. That first part does not make sense. So we can eliminate that option. Let's look at the second one. Yeah, that's true. Do you have any countries in mind that you're considering? Right? Yeah, that's true. Seems to make sense. However, we asked the professor about trade agreements and environmental regulations before. So in the context of the conversation, this option doesn't make sense either. Again, it doesn't matter what the rest of the option says. Just by looking at the first part, you can eliminate that option. Third one, no, not yet. That doesn't make sense either, right? The professor didn't ask you about something that you may or may not have done already. He's talking about trade agreements. So if you say no, not yet, it's like you're in a different conversation. Yeah, you're right. So what do you think our plan should be? Yeah, you're right is similar to yeah, that's true. You asked the professor about trade agreements and such. So yeah, you're right doesn't make sense, because if you knew the answer, why did you ask the question in the first place? And finally, we have, do all countries have to agree on the decision for it to be made? And you can see, we were able to eliminate the first 4 options just by looking at the very beginning of each option. We didn't have to take the time to evaluate the entire option. And that's really helpful because interactive listening can be very fast. You have to answer many questions in a relatively short amount of time. So this strategy can help us quickly eliminate options and more quickly arrive at the correct answer, which in this case is the final one. Do all countries have to agree on the decision for it to be made?